Hello there, just a short follow-up video related to governance from part one. So I did get some feedback off of LinkedIn around the lack of configure endpoints being included in the video. And while technically this is part of DLP and I won't be able to get through a lot of detail all of the time, I do agree that this is something that should be included. When I missed it before, it certainly wasn't deliberate. And really my goal here is trying to provide a balanced perspective and really just focus on education. And so as a result, just creating this specific video so that people can go ahead and catch up if they're not familiar with these two features. Now, number one, configure endpoints. Really what this is the ability for an administrator to go ahead and allow for specific URIs to be either used or blocked. So if you think about connectors like, say, SQL, or maybe you have a URI around like a SQL server or even HTTP, and you want to allow specific URLs to be permitted within the use of Power Automate, but others perhaps blocked, we have the ability to control that. Secondary, the configure actions, can kind of think of this as directional DLP. So there could be specific operations or actions within a connector that you want to permit, and there might be some that you want to block. So if we think about Twitter as the kind of the canonical example here, you may want to prevent people from using the post action or the post operation, but you may allow people to go ahead and search Twitter. And so obviously there's a lot of different scenarios, maybe it's around databases where this applies as well. So let's go ahead, let's flip over to the Power Platform Admin Center and we'll take a closer look at these two features. All right, so I'm in the Power Platform Admin Center. I've clicked on data policies and then I've selected a specific policy that I wanted to edit. Now let's go ahead and let's find our HTTP connector. And if we go ahead and click on the ellipsis here, we're going to see a configure connector menu, and then we've got the ability to configure the connector endpoints. So this is that URI situation that I was discussing in the intro. And what we can do here is add specific endpoints, prioritize them, and then create rules about allowing or denying. So in this specific scenario, I've got a specific URL or URI that'll connect to my APIM, Azure API Management instance, and I'm going to permit that, but I'm going to deny or block all other calls. And so that's another tool that admins can use to help govern how services are accessed. Now let's go ahead and let's find Twitter because we used that previously. And let's click on the ellipsis, configure connector, and then connector actions. Here we see all of the operations or actions that are part of that connector. And here we have the ability to choose, which of the actions we'd like to enable or disable. So we might want to disable posting a tweet or retweeting, but the ability to get or fetch data might be permitted. The other thing to call out here is we do have the default settings for when new actions are added to a specific connector. So let's say in the future, another action is added to Twitter. What do we want to do? Do we want to allow that new action to be permitted, or do we want to block it by default? And then we'd have to come back as an admin and re-enable it. So once again, giving administrators choice from that perspective. So hopefully this clears up both connector actions and connector endpoints, and we'll see you soon.